So I remember being at Family Mastermind, and I remember that there was a whole bunch of people that just coming out of COVID is kind of when I got in, and they were like, "Man, our businesses would have not survived had we not linked up with Eric Brewer and you guys and learned how to properly do novations. It saved a lot of investors when times were a little bit tough." So I've done almost everything I can think of in real estate, but I haven't actually completed a novation. And I've learned a lot about them, but there's something missing there. So I think this is a great time as we start to kind of transition a little bit before we get into the education part of it. Can we go a little bit deeper into somebody listening to this? It's like, what do you mean by like, how are you able to maximize profit on this and take down more deals? Like, what exactly is a novation and how would a novation deal be structured?
Yeah, so it's so funny. Novations, let's go to investing in general. Investing is a unique business to get into because it's fairly small, right? If you look at what a wholesale deal is you need to find a highly distressed property with a highly distressed seller. You need to buy it at a highly discounted price. Then you need to go find a knucklehead who's got cash to buy the property, who wants to endure a 3 to 12 week renovation, hopefully put it on the market, sell it, and get his money at the end of it. It's like that is chaos in reality, right? And then you throw in what assignments are, is like, yeah, I'm not really telling you. It's like this elusive secret game of like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you where it came from, right? Like, I don't own the property, but I'm going to assign it to you. In transparency, I think wholesale is super challenging. And what novations are is, novation comes from the Latin word nova, which means new. So assignment equals cash only. You're assigning your interest and it can only be purchased cash, right? FHA, VA, Freddie, Fannie, all of those guys will not fund that deal. So you need cash. So again, very small buyer pool circle of people that are out there doing that. A novation, meaning new, is a new contract. It is not an assignment. It is a replacement of contract. So Nick, if you are selling me your house, I have it under contract with you, but my, good friend Bob, he actually wants to buy it. So I'm not assigning my interest. I am novating my interest, which means I am replacing my interest via a novation agreement. So I'm stepping out of the deal and saying, Nick, Bob, you guys are now working together for making this all happen, right? There is a monetary reward that I get for that, which is my profit. However, now you have a clear chain of title, which allows that to be conventionally financed. So now Bank of America, Rocket, any of those guys, this is a traditional standard real estate transaction at this point, and my interest is secured that at closing I get paid the dividend of the spread amount that I created through my value proposition and my services to help put it all together. So that's kind of the foundation and framework to get started. Drastically different because one is cash only, very limited, very highly distressed properties. The other, your buyer's list becomes Zillow or realtor.com, and that's pretty big. And there's a lot of people out there with pre-approvals. And a lot of people out there want to buy a house. A lot of homes that you look at are in decent condition, right? If you took most common objections as like, I'm not in a hurry to sell it and I'm not giving it away. Perfect for a novation, right? Oh,
Hmm.
okay, cool. That means that the house is in reasonable condition, right? Time isn't a problem for these people, and that positions that opportunity. So we can dig more into that now with clarification of like cash versus conventionally financed, delineating one's an assignment, one's a replacement of contracts. That's the biggest difference there.
So that's really good because it's timely. I do inbound, I do outbound. My inbound marketing kind of took a dive a little bit, so we switched companies, and so to fill the blanks while that one gets off, I've been doing more outbound. And outbound, I'm getting a ton of that. You call people up, I'm not in a hurry to sell. I'm not like literally like 100 calls in a row is that. So
Mhm.
that was kind of exciting what you said because it almost seems like it's a way to kind of revive somebody that would normally be considered a dead lead.
For sure. And then we'll transition into that thought process now, where you won't love me because I will say a standard sales process is really sifting through and overcoming a lot of those objections. So with outbound marketing, you're always going to get that. And we'll go down that rabbit trail really quick because with outbound marketing, you almost need to have a two-prong approach for your sales team and your sales process, which we call it detaching from the outcome. So if you call someone, and I like using extremes for easy examples, if you're cold calling someone, you have a predictive data set, you know something about them, and we know that they're 1 month late on their mortgage payment. History says 95% of the time they don't recover. However, right, Johnny's at home and he's 26 days late on his mortgage payment. Life is still okay, right? Still banging away at his 9 to 5, and he's going to clean it up, right? It's no problem. So if I call that guy and say, hey, man, do you want a cash offer on your house for 80% of value? He's like, what? Like, I wasn't even trying to sell my house. And you're like, no, but like, I know you need to, right? And then again, we'll play in the extremes when in reality, we're not aligning with where the customer is now. We know in 6 months from now that that may be the case and that he's in deep water now and we need to be a trusted resource and a guide to help him. But as investors, we often apply predetermined outcomes to everybody. So we treat everyone equal. It's like lead equals step one, lead equals appointment. Step two is appointment equals contract. If that doesn't happen, something's wrong or lead source sucks. When in reality, that's not the case. If you treated outbound marketing really with good intent is you're establishing a relationship and you're like way up here. So it's like I'm building a relationship, I'm in contact with them, and I'm going to nurture this relationship all the way down to where they almost start as an inbound lead. And how much time needs to pass before they start to resonate with the messaging they're seeing that your company puts out, where what you're talking about starts to feel more at home to them, where they need a solution and they're coming to terms with it. So one is like making sure that you're not throwing away leads because your expectations and your preconceived notion of what should happen isn't the reality, because novations won't fix any of that. And we see that very commonly, where if somebody called you today and right, you're on a high equity list, it's like, yeah, you could sell the house, but like, you called me, man, give me the offer. And it's like oftentimes, right, that's marked as wanted retail, no motivation, unqualified. It's like, there goes $500. And that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. So one is the importance of a sales process to have highly skilled salespeople work through those. Then now back to your original question of like novations is you can basically take every objection and repackage that into a value proposition that's a novation. If you are unable to buy a house at a discounted price, it's likely the reality is that the condition is either better or the circumstances are moderate and the person doesn't need the expedited time frame and all of those things. And we kind of call that the seller seesaw, where it's like for it to be wholesale, it needs to be so skewed that the seller's right condition of their home is down here very poor and their motivation is up here very high. And that is again a small percentage of deals. So what a novation does is allows you to have three variables of control, which is price, time, and convenience. And you play a game where, right, like it's a little shell game where you're controlling the levers and you're pulling them and you're exchanging value between those three things. And it has to be very authentic and transparent. So Nick, like I hear you, I offered you 140 for your house and you said 160. The only way I could probably pay you 160 is because we do a couple of things here at Ben Buys Houses. One is we buy properties and we'll renovate them and then resell them or keep them for our rental portfolio wholesale. Two is if we don't have the capacity to do that or it's not right a good fit for us, we work with a network of people who may also be interested in the property, which right is we'll sign that out or we won't buy it. Or number three, what you mentioned, I think you might qualify for something that we call our equity protection program that allows you to pay a little bit more. And you mentioned that if I could pay that difference in price and you weren't in a rush, that we often can take properties to the open market and we can find somebody who may want to do some work on this house themselves or somebody that just really appreciates the condition that your house is in as you've done a great job maintaining it. Is that something you'd be interested in hearing more about? It does two things. It reinforces your cash value offer because if they hate that and they're like, no, man, I just want to sell it, then you come back and you say, okay, cool. Well, let's focus on here and where do we need to be in that cash offer? Or they say, yeah, that sounds good. They still are getting a guaranteed offer for the house. And you have a sense of confidence that if you take that thing to the MLS, that one out of the couple 100 million Americans is going to have interest in that property in the condition that it's currently in.
This would not work necessarily for something that needs kitchens, bathrooms, flooring, paint, electric. It's got to be in livable condition for the most part, because I'm assuming in most cases, not every case, but in most cases, your buyer through the MLS is most likely going to get some variation of a loan.
Correct. So, and that's the whole point there. So there's a couple things that will happen. We still list almost all of our properties on the MLS because what comes with the MLS is newer investors. So, right, the investor journey is inexperience where we all started. You have no idea where to buy your first investment property from, right? You have Zillow. You're sitting at home on your couch. Your wife says, I like interior design. And you say, cool, I'm handy, right? We're going to do a flip. And that's not uncommon and it works well. You do that deal, you make no money, you exchange experience for hard work, and you say, cool, I know how to do better next time. So one is you will still find people who pay a premium for cash properties. So we strongly still encourage to take properties to the MLS that are in medium to poor condition, and you will gain a lot of new cash buyers and people who are out there seeking fix and flips. With the novation side of things, ARV goes out the window. We don't care about ARV. We refer to a term as CCRV, which is current condition retail value. In its current state today, what will this house sell for to somebody with a mortgage or a loan? If it won't, right, that kind of changes the perspective. You can still put it on the MLS, but you need to find a cash buyer. So novations don't fix condition. However, in today's market, due to prices, demand, interest rates, inventory levels, the gap is highly tightened in most markets between a dated house that is livable and a after repaired value house. Right? I live in Florida and it's like $25 a square foot difference now in a competitive market between like a 1980s house that has right decent looking oak cabinets versus some dude that bought it discounted. It's expensive to renovate in this market and it's like one's 700 and one's 749. There is not the disparity of this drastic gap. So what that means is there's a huge benefit to bringing inventory to the market, right? There is what we call wealth creation, right? Is like when you do something that creates new money or different money, that's wealth creation. What you want to do is you want to create wealth to the inventory space. So you want to find inventory that isn't on the market. You want to bring it to the market. And then again, we had the conversation a minute ago about emotionally detaching or applying a perceived filter to it. You have no idea who's out there that's pre-qualified. It says, I'm handy. I don't care that it's a little bit dated, right? Oh, I know a guy. Oh, next year we'll save up. Oh, after tax season, we'll renovate the kitchen. So long as that it generally passes inspections. You will find that's about 90% of the people that you talk to on a day-to-day basis is people that have decent condition homes that are out there looking for an alternative solution to a listing agent, and you have something to provide them. So it is as simple as explain to them what you can do for them. You're their trusted guide in helping them sell their house. You can kind of work and negotiate a price that they get, which is drastically different than an agent. As an investor with a novation, I'll tell you how long I need and I'll tell you how much you get. If you invite a real estate agent over to your house and you ask those questions, they'll be like, I'm not sure. And I don't know when it'll sell, but the only thing guaranteed is you owe me 6% commission. So it's a polarizing view of an experience. And if you keep it as simple as that, you're providing somebody with certainty, with experience, with the ability to sell a house, with the ability to market a house, with the ability to list a house, rather than somebody saying, I don't know, sign this listing agreement here for 6%. And I don't know when it'll sell. I don't know how much you'll get, but we'll do our best for you. It's like, it doesn't feel great. So if you keep it simply as that, there's a lot of value for an investor in doing novations.